Okay, our court case was Scheck versus United States. It was argued January 9th through 10th, 1919, and decided on March 3rd, 1919. This case was considered a federal court case before it went to the Supreme Court.
So the story behind the case is Charles Schenck and Elizabeth Baird during World War I said that the draft violated the 13th Amendment against involuntary servitude. The draft was not instituted until World War I. They needed to make a military force able to succeed in war, and they urged the public to disobey the draft, but advised only peaceful action. During the time, Charles Schenck was a prominent member of the Socialist Party. The Socialist Party is a political party that believes people deserve equal rights for resources and that government regulation can be a force for good in people's lives and society. He was arrested for mailing 15,000 flyers encouraging men of age to sign petitions and actively engage against the military draft by raising their voices to Congress and the President. In 1917, Schenck was arrested and convicted of the Espionage Act. So the summary of the constitutional issue involved was the constitutional issue was understanding the right of free speech. In this case, the Supreme Court had to decide whether the speech that was punished for violating the Espionage Act was protected by the First Amendment. The Espionage Act was formally passed 2 months after the United States entered World War I. The Espionage Act of 1917 made it a crime for any person to interfere with U.S. efforts in the war against Germany. Anyone who publicly protested the war or the military draft was subject to investigation. The Socialist Party argued that the drafting was a form of involuntary servitude and violated the 13th Amendment.
The ruling of the court was that if the freedom of speech is abused and purposely used for criminal reasons, and there is a clear present danger that the result is a criminal offense, then the First Amendment can't and will not protect the person from government ruling. The Espionage Act did not violate the First Amendment right to the freedom of speech. The act is all about protecting the U.S. The act is prohibiting information related to the national defense with reason to believe that information would be used against the U.S. and in some cases the information used to help other foreign countries in war. So basically the act, if anything that goes towards the act, like information, whenever the act is preventing the information from hurting us and keeping us safe. Let's begin to dissent in the case of Abrahams versus the United States, insisting that the court had departed from the standard he had crafted for them and had begun to allow punishment for ideas. The court has set another line of precedents to govern cases in which the constitutionality of a statute is challenged on its face. In 1969, Schneck was partially overturned by Brandenburg versus Ohio. So their court case overruled their court case. So basically Schneck versus United States was like a smaller version of what Brandenburg versus Ohio was. And that limited the scope of banned speech to which would be directed to and likely to incite intimate lawless action. Basically, any court case that has to do with the violation of the First Amendment is related to Schneck versus United States. A similar case was Brandenburg versus Ohio in 1969 when protected speech was raised to imminent lawless action. Another similar court case was Tinker versus Des Moines in 1965. A public school district in Iowa suspended 3 teenagers for wearing black armbands to school on their wrists. They said that they wore them to protect all that is happening with the Vietnam War. Keep in mind, they didn't hurt anyone, force anyone to do anything. They wore the black wristbands to school in a small way of protesting for the war. Fortunately, their families filed a lawsuit and the case was able to reach the Supreme Court in 1969. The end result of the case was that the public school district in Iowa violated the 3 students' right to freedom of speech. So the students won.